2,000 years ago, I fought my way out of that cave, became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back.
Earl Thomas is signing with
All we
the
can do is
Baltimore
our
Ravens.
best. And
Sherman is
sometimes
saying in the
best we
NFC
can do
West he will reportedly sign a 3-year
is to
deal with the
start over.
49ers.
I saw all these people die.
I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
With the podcast, feels like we've been doing this for ages now. We are officially pros. Just want to thank everyone for the support that we had on the last one. It was really, really good. We were on about 300 views on YouTube, but they've decided to take 200 views off us, which the lads don't know about for some reason. That's what they've done. Oh no, he's ruined it. Anyway,
well,
in case you didn't know, we've got a potential new member of the podcast. We're saying he's on trial. He's not on trial. This is our new member, Nick. We're going to pass over to him for him to give a brief introduction on himself and what brought him into NFL, and then we'll crack on with the podcast. So over to you, Mr. Hales. Yeah, no surprise now.
My name's Nick. I started NFL, I think like you guys, through about the same sort of time. I think it was about 2006 when I got Madden on the PSP. And I wasn't really into it then. I didn't know anything about the sport then, but I just played the game. I found it quite an addictive game to play. And then it sort of went on the back burner really after that. I didn't really watch any NFL at all, or American football as it is, as we see it today. And I think it was about 2014. We was out in America and we had the chance to go to a Chick-fil-A kickoff game, which was Ole Miss against Boise State. So that was like my first live event, and I absolutely loved it. It was like the first return, like someone just got smashed and like the whole crowd just erupted, and I was just like, I'm sold. Like I want to watch this. So I really started on like more of the college level, and then purely based on, I think it was Doddy actually, got me back around into the NFL, and then just started watching the NFL. Now the content is so obviously easy accessible in England. It's so easy to watch now. So now I just love it, and obviously meeting all you boys, what seems like quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
Probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, was it? I think.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I met you was at the Lions Chiefs game.
Exactly. Yeah.
First time I met you, we were with Doddy in London. Yeah, we went to Nando's in London.
I remember it, man.
And I was with Miles.
So that was the first NFL game that I actually went to. And then from then on, it was literally like, now you boys are watching it. It's like there's like another element to it with a fantasy draft. Like I'm completely sold on it. And I'd even go as far as saying now, probably prefer it to football, as in the English game. Certainly to watch.
I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think especially getting up to last year, I'm exactly the same. Like even having that season ticket at Newcastle, like this has overtaken everything for sport for me, definitely.
Yeah, I do think it does revolve around just the content being so available now. Like Sky Sports have obviously got all the games on. You've got the Game Pass, so there was no excuse really now why you can't watch every game. Absolutely love it. Quality sport. And I'm the only one out of probably all of my close mates that really like the sport. There's probably a couple that don't mind it.
I'd say Badger's getting more into it though.
Badger's definitely keen on it. Yeah, definitely getting onto it. Like he'd love to be involved in a fantasy and things like that. He does like it. But for me, it's like with the Game Pass, every day after, like Monday morning, my first couple of hours are watch the Seahawks, the game. If I haven't watched it up live, and then I just literally watch that sort of 5-minute video of every game. To see what's happened, and that is literally, it's like that's just ritual now. It's my Monday morning.
What got you into being a Seahawks fan?
Do you know what? It was through the Madden 06. Because I was like, how old was I? 14 years ago. So I was like 13, something like that. Didn't have a clue, so just randomly selected on it, come up with the Seahawks. And all I remember was I had Matt Hasselbeck at quarterback, and he was just shit. And apart from that's literally all I remember. So, and it's only because Doddy supports him. Like we were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, got Russ Wilson." I was like, "Oh, Seahawks." I was like, "Yeah. I know them. I'll follow them." And it just so happened the year after we won the Super Bowl. So.
Good choice.
I'm not saying that I had any direct involvement with that, but I become a supporter and they won a Super Bowl. So
it's also gone downhill since then. I'm pretty sure you lost the Super Bowl the year after that. But
yeah, we don't talk about that though. And by the looks of it, we're not getting anywhere near it again. So anytime soon. But no,
you trust.
Do you know what it is now? I just love Russ. Like Russ to me is like Brady to you, Beaver.
Yeah,
probably not now. Probably Brady last year.
Well, I think we had a brief chat about it last week. We all, everyone's got massive respect for Russell Wilson. His class, isn't he? Like on and off the field.
Quality, it's on and off the field, isn't it? It's like if you want to build a sportsman both on the pitch and off the pitch. Like obviously, there's loads, but he's good. Like he's on the right side of the line, isn't he? So
it's took people breaking records to stop Russell Wilson being an MVP in the league.
Absolutely, like he's so consistent. Like you see him every year, and you might not look at him, but he's there or thereabouts for the MVP every year for the last 5 years because he single-handedly has dragged the Seahawks for probably the last 3 years since the demise of the Legion of Boom. Anyway, so it's good. It's great being a Seahawks fan.
And he was a third round pick.
Exactly.
That's what's a lot of things people forget about Russell Wilson was. He didn't come out of the draft with this high. He wasn't this massive prospect that everybody was raving about. He just come out in the third round, picked up.
Exactly. Yeah, just some lad from Wisconsin. And that was literally. But that pretty much sums up Seahawks in terms of what we do in the draft anyway.
I know all about that.
That's not changed. And it's probably not ever going to change.
Mate, I know all about that.
Yeah, I think
that's me.
I think that leads on to it. Like a lot of people have spoke about obviously watching the podcast and stuff and how they want to get into the NFL. And I think what we were speaking about last week, what would have gone over their heads a little bit. So we do want to do a little bit in terms of helping people to learn about the sport. So we're thinking we'll probably do 10-15 minutes in each podcast episode, maybe of like a bit of a lesson for people that want to get into the NFL. But what Nick said about us meeting about 5 years ago was essentially through NFL, wasn't it? Really. So It's just another thing, just that we were talking about. The fact that everyone supporting different teams comes together. Like, there's no malice. It just brings people together, and it's so much different to football over here, because football's so divisive, where this is the complete opposite. And now I think we can also meet loads of new people through the sport, which is class.
I don't know. I've had a lot of stick off you lot about being a Patriots fan. It's a little bit mad.
That's going to happen, though, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
natural. It's normal.
But now Brady's gone, you all seem a bit nicer to me. Carl, lucky mate, it's about to flip for you.
I know, mate. I'm waiting for it.
Nah, I like Carl.
I like you too, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Just picking up on that point, though, you're absolutely right. And this is another thing about NFL. Like, Beaver, like you and me, we've been season ticket holders. 2 years, haven't we?
2.
It don't matter
2, yeah.
what. It don't really matter who's in the UK for the NFL games. It's like, you want to go and watch them, don't you? I don't think. Well, I don't know. I don't think that would necessarily be the same case for football. I don't know. But,
not for me personally, it wouldn't.
No, I don't think it would be for me.
I wouldn't go out of my way to go and watch Burnley versus West Ham, for example.
No.
That's it. Yeah, and I mean, we're so fortunate, and again, it comes down to content, isn't it?
West Ham fans, by the way.
It's so readily accessible, isn't it? Football, and I mean, I struggle to go to who I support, the Blues, which for obvious reasons.
I think because being in the UK, we're so far away from America, then we kind of take anything that we can. So any team that comes over, we kind of jump on it and we look at the games, as you all know. You mass amounts of people with various jerseys on because they're just going just to watch the game in general.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So what?
I'm deprived of it over in comparison to America, unless you stay up till. If you want to watch college games and whatnot, and the Monday night games and so on, then we're having to stay up until the early hours of the morning. So that's why when they come over to the UK, it doesn't matter who is actually playing. You go and watch it for the love of the game.
Exactly, yeah.
I think as well, for people that don't really know, so American sports, they don't segregate the fans. So obviously, like here, you've got an away end and you've got a home fans and stuff like that. In American sports, they don't have that. There's no segregation. So you're just in and amongst other fans, and there's no malice, there's no angry, there's no fighting. I mean, the Bills fans, they jump through tables. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, to be fair, well, I think you might have been with me when the Philly fans were digging me out, literally just because I had a shirt on.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to fucking swing with this geezer in a minute if he keeps cracking up.
but their mindset's different. But sitting like, I mean, being sat in the stadium and there's being so many different fans around us. I mean, where we sit at Wembley, we're surrounded by so many different fans. I mean, it's just decent to hear how people got into the game, and people will talk to you. If you're wearing an American football jersey, it's like an icebreaker because people are culture.
It's more of a cultural thing, isn't it? Whereas
it really is, yeah.
English football is more like, dare I say it, like tribal?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
That kind of thing.
More hostile, isn't it? Like, as a team. Whereas, like you say, Beebs, like we begrudgingly sometimes talk to the people around us.
I know exactly.
I mean, I'm sure they're nice people. What would you say? I just don't want to talk. But you can have a chat with them. Like we could start talking to them at the start of the game, and we would just talk.
Another thing that I think helps with like the fans and stuff like that for American football and stuff like that, you can drink in the stands. Sitting in the stadium and sitting in your seat with a beer is a massive thing. Obviously, we can't do that in England, and I mean, and that's with when all the fans are sat together and from the same team. Whereas when the NFL's here, and we were fortunate enough, Nick, that we went to the first game of Spurs, didn't we? The Raiders game earlier this year, Raiders Bears, wasn't it?
Raiders Bears, yeah.
And we had a few beers that day.
Yeah.
We had a good go that day. I mean, that stadium is phenomenal. And the things it's going to do for the game.
The pints, they fill it from the bottom, don't they? So, I mean,
I think that's such a good point.
It's just like, right, we'll have a few then.
Definitely. But I think it's such a good point because what does that say? Like when the NFL's over here, in the same stadiums, you can drink 80 seat with people. Like when it comes to football, you can't.
You
Like,
can have literally you end up having the same people that you go to a normal
Yeah.
football game sat next to you at an American football game,
Yeah.
and you're drinking, and there'll be no animosity, no aggression.
because
I
like you
suppose-
say, the culture's so different. Like and like Nick said, football is so tribal that it doesn't even come into the event organiser's head that there's going to be any trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to take away, not saying that American football fans aren't passionate about their teams or anything at all.
No.
It's not that at all. It's just the culture is completely different.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. Like the reason I love American football so much is I love the way they go about things. I mean, there's a salary cap which I'm pretty sure is around 133.5 million. Like
2 seconds, please. I don't want to. I'll just cut you off. Like, we'll let's do now a quick rundown of like the basics of how it works, and then you just start with that, and then
Okay.
And then Liam and Nick, if you want to throw in as well, because obviously Liam, this is your remit as well. So if you two want to go through that and just educate the noobs, as it were, which I still am one, so you can educate me.
Educate
Obviously.
there, please.
Beaver, take it away.
That's all I do now.
Oh God. No, so obviously the salary cap is you've got 133.5 million, which you need to split across 53 players on your roster. You got your special teamers, you got your offense, and you got your defense. Some people obviously, depending on how their contracts work and stuff like that, because once you've got to split it basically between your team, and to give yourself the best opportunity, you've got to use that money wisely. I mean, at the Patriots, Brady never took a big paycheck, so when your best player isn't taking a big paycheck, when your best player isn't taking most of the money, it sets a toll. And I think there's times where the salary cap is so good that it tries to make a competitive base for every team. They don't want teams to be bad all the time. And that leads us to where the draft comes in, because those that have small salary caps tend to be at the top end of the league. And they make the playoffs and stuff like that. But the teams with the massive salary cap space, they end up utilising that to get more competitive and get better. And then obviously, the worse you finish, the better it is for you next season, because you get a higher pick in the draft. And then, say again, sorry.
Which means what? If you're getting a higher pick, what does that mean for you?
So basically, if you finish with the worst rank in the season, say if you finish like 2 and 14, which the team did this year, you get the first pick of the draft next year, which means you get the first pick of all the talents coming out of college football. And basically, it's up to you whether you take that pick or whether you trade it away for more picks, and normally you picking the best player or you're picking what you need the most.
I understand.
So the draft for me, the draft format is, if you play college football, you're eligible for the draft, I believe, after your third year in college. You can complete college, you can go 4 years and come out in the draft. That's not an issue. Some people declare early so they can make themselves eligible for the draft. It happens on the regular. And what it means is you've just got a better opportunity. It basically gives you an opportunity to get into the league. And these teams, the 7 rounds of the draft, and it goes from the worst team gets the first pick of the draft, so they're getting to pick the best player available in college football. And then it goes down to, obviously, all the way through the 32 teams. Obviously, trades happen where picks get traded away. So, like, somebody in the somebody could want somebody so they could move back into the first round. So they could give up to a second or a third draft pick. You can give up players. It works in that sense that you use the draft as a way to better your team. And then what they want to do is they want competition throughout the league. So, I mean, the San Francisco 49ers are probably the best way to describe it. They were in the Super Bowl this year. They finished as runners-up. The 3 or 4 previous seasons, but before that, they picked in the top 5 picks of the draft for like 3 or 4 years on the bounce. And this year they've made the Super Bowl, and unfortunately they lost. But again, look how competitive they've gone from the worst team to one of the best teams in the league, and everyone's standing back now going, well, this is a real threat team now. And it happens so often. It just depends on how your scouting system works and where you're drafted. And salary cap does play a massive part of it, because if you pay somebody too much money, unfortunately, you're stuck with the fact of, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, because you potentially might have to get rid of some of your other players that you really, really value, but then they need more money and you can't afford to pay them, so you end up losing out on your better players as well, don't you? So
you almost end up with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah.
That's what the beauty of the salary cap is if you don't use it wisely, you end up with your hands tied, and then you end up losing top assets. New players obviously come in on like a rookie deal, and the rookie deal lasts for 4 years with an extension, with a possible extension of a 5th year. But by that time,
first rounders only get the 5th year option. Am I right?
It's something along them lines, yeah. So like, but your top first round picks, they get decent money, and it's like signing bonuses and stuff like that, and it's all contractual talks and stuff like that. But you can't just. It has happened before where somebody said that I don't want to play for this team after they'd been picked and they ended up getting traded. It was Eli Manning, actually. He refused to. He got picked by the Chargers, and he was like, I don't want to be here. He wanted to play for the Giants, and it ended up working out for him and the Giants, in fairness. But it's very rare that happens. So once you're drafted for a side, no matter how good or bad the side is, you play for that team.
In that situation, I mean, this is something I don't really know about at all. If someone doesn't want to go to a particular team, I mean, are they obligated? Do they have to go to that team, or can they refuse? Or
they can refuse.
I genuinely don't know how that works.
They can refuse, but nobody really does, because what you got to think about is these kids are coming out of college and they're looking to make a career for themselves in the game.
Right.
So when they come out of it, their main idea is, I'm going to make myself a namesake in the league. I want to get in the league. I want to show that my potential. Yeah. Obviously, when your rookie contract's up, so like if you do 4 years, if the team are going to offer you another deal, or if you feel you don't want to sign that deal, you can move into free agency. And free agency is kind of like a transfer window, I suppose. But it's on for quite a bit before the draft, and then it goes into a little bit in the preseason. And basically, you just pick up players that aren't signed for a team, and there's so many big deals that get signed and stuff like that. But a lot of it's just a lot of the free agency stuff is. It's very rare you get the big names in free agency. You do get the odd player that doesn't want to play for their team because their team's transitioning from being a good side, from being a bad side to a good side, and they're looking to win now. It's important into their career, so they can push for trades and stuff like that. I mean, Odell Beckham's probably the most famous case of somebody that got traded recently to the Cleveland Browns, and the Giants were going the wrong way for him, and he wanted to win, and I don't think he could quite grasp that. He needed to stick around a little bit, but then they also wanted to move him because they signed him to a massive contract. So what they did is move him, got some picks for him, and now they're rebuilding. They've got themselves a new quarterback. They've got a star at running back, and now they're working around and they're able to move a little piece. I mean, they had a Golden Tate last year, who I think will be a good player for them. And it opens up more of the offense, really, because you take such a name out and he was a highlight reel. That's what he was, and that's what he probably still is. But I'm hoping he can make it work with the Browns. And
I think you're right. I mean, I think anybody who doesn't necessarily follow the sport would have heard of some point Odell Beckham or OBJ, that kind of name. And he's known for his one-handed catches. As you said, he's a highlight reel. So in my opinion, the Giants to move on from him, certainly it gives other players an opportunity now. But in respect of the draft that you mentioned, of how the worst record gets the best picks to keep it competitive, it's something that you'd never see that in the English football. You'd never see someone like Burnley, for example, finish in the bottom half. All of a sudden, they get the opportunity to compete the following season. You'd never see that, which is, I think, that the NFL has the edge over English football in that sense. in
I
my
think
opinion.
there's no way around it, is there? Like, you've got the financial fair play in just for English football, for instance, is that there are so many nooks and crannies and loopholes, and like you only have to look at, I think, was it Man City that forgives me, like they just signed like a massive deal with some sponsorship. Was it Etihad, which is a guy that, or the guys that own the place? And then all of a sudden they've got a couple of £100 million to spend. There is just so many different ways around it, where with the NFL, which is what the good thing is, everyone's on the same level. Everyone's got the same cap space. The draft process doesn't change. It's down to you to make the most out of it, to get the best out of it that both suits you. And like you say with the Giants, yeah, fair enough, it was a bit of a statement to get rid of him. They got their picks out of it. They are rebuilding. It's more long term, isn't it? It's a process that NFL goes through, that long term process. Whereas football, it's very much we've got to get what we want now, because if we tomorrow, done, pretty much, isn't it? And that's the whole ethos between football, isn't it? So I think it's just such a short term visioned sport, isn't it? You don't have to look at managerial changes in football, and then you compare that to like the Cowboys, sticking with their coach Garrett, and we've all probably got a different opinion on whether he should have been in the job or not. But at the end of the day, it was a process that they were trying to go through, trying to get through, and it's just a different way of thinking, isn't it? The NFL football, it's two completely different thought processes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree as well. I mean, with regards to you talking about the short-sightedness of the Premier League, I think it's very rare you'll ever hear about an NFL team potentially going bust. And I think the mainstay of that is the fact that their salary cap is set at what it is year upon year, and they know where they're at financially pretty much year upon year. They'll be able to forecast figures. Premier League clubs can't do that and never will be able to do that ever.
No. It's just not the model, is it? It's not the model.
Not at all. Not at all.
No. And unfortunately, with where the English game, the English football is, there's no way they're going to be able to fix that problem now.
No.
There's no way, because you can't implement a salary cap. It wouldn't work, because the truth is, people sign contracts, and once you've signed on the contract, that's it. That's you tied in then. Obviously, with it going through free agency, you are able to get out of it in American football, but you've got to wait 4 years, and you've got to become a player really in free agency to get picked up, and you've got to make a statement. You've got to make a name for yourself. These are lads. There's a lot of players in the NFL like who have got sob stories and stuff like that. Have come from hard places, but I'll tell you one thing you don't see very often is you don't see them waste their money.
Definitely not, mate. And the thing is, even if that happens, like if Tom Brady decides he signed a $35 million contract and he wants $60 million and Tampa Bay want to do it, they're not going to go over their budget because they're going to have to work around with everything else, so that they're still not going to overspend. You know what I mean? It's just whether they see him as being valuable enough to do that and lose other talent. Like their expenditure is still the same. Whereas Premier League clubs, you know, if someone turns around and says, yeah, I want 300 grand, I want 600 grand, then you fucking...
As long as financially it can stack it, it'll happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone else, and they'll get it. They'll get exactly what they want.
Yeah, and the truth is, they're not taking food off anyone else's plate.
Doesn't it, as well? Has a knock-on effect with other people in the changing rooms.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think the only comparable thing I think is in terms of market fluctuations. So, like in our football, English football, the transfer fees do go up. As soon as someone goes for a record amount, the next person will be around that figure, if not more. Yeah. I think it's comparable to the contracts that NFL players get. Certainly, like your running backs, for example. If one running back believes he's worth X amount, but another running back is getting paid, like for example, Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's on a $35 million dollar contract across 4 years, give or take. Then Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers, he's now the highest paid at 36, 37 million, something like that, give or take. So that's the only comparison I've got between the two different sports in terms of fluctuations in the market and how players can dictate prices.
That's only with like, sorry, Beaver to put in that's only it's with your top grade players, isn't it? The ones that do like your average players have just got to.
Yeah, it's not like Harry Maguire suddenly deciding he's worth 200 grand a week and people thinking he's worth 80 million fucking pound. Do you know?
Yeah,
Harry
Nick, I was
Maguire.
about to say the same point as you, mate. It's normally like your top assets are going, well, I'm worth this money. I mean, there's that current situation at the minute with Dak Prescott, where Dak Prescott said that $35 million a year isn't enough to support his family. Now, I mean, that sounds like a farcical if you ask me, and in my opinion, he ain't worth that. I mean,
it is, but like you said, like it's farcical and laughable because it's so rare to hear that in the NFL, isn't it? To be fair,
yeah,
35
someone that's
minutes,
not really accomplished. Well, no, he's not accomplished anything. Decides that he's worth X amount is
that's it. What he's took them to the playoffs twice, and I think they've gone out in the wild card round both times. I think, if that.
They had a really good defense last couple of years. No, offensive line, sorry. They've had a really good offensive line last couple of years.
And at the end of the day, they've got Zeke as well, and Zeke carries the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And a good running game for any like new NFL fan. If you've got a good running game as a team, you are set because your O-line will protect your quarterback and your running back can carry a lot of the load. So all you need your quarterback to do is look after the ball in situationals.
Let's do that quickly. Let's have like 5 minutes on that, on positions, like how I'm coming to all three of you now as a completely new fan, no idea about the sport. How does NFL work? How does an NFL team work? What does it consist of? Like, let's not go into the nitty gritty of the game. Just like how the teams work.
I think you have to build your team around your offensive line. You need a stud quarterback, right? You need your quarterback to be able to make good decisions in big moments. But the offensive line, their job is to protect the quarterback from getting hit and create holes for your running back to run into. So like they're going to be blocking against the defensive line, and their job is they're going to be given shift patterns and stuff. And I mean, it's easy for me and Carl to probably talk about this because we looked at that playbook last year.
Yeah.
And your job on the O-line is to hit the geezer across from you and send him in a way. You either send him left, send him right, or drive him backwards to create a gap for your running back to get into so he can get yards. And a lot of the time, if you're watching a game and the first time you've ever seen it, it says 1st and 10. That means it's your first down and you've got to go 10 yards. And you've effectively got 4 plays to do it. It tends to be, depending on the situation, you'll either kick a punt on the 4th down or you'll kick a field goal. It's very rare that teams go through. I mean, there is a high school coach that goes through everything on 4th down, no matter where it is.
Yeah. What happens if we don't do it?
Yeah, if you don't do it, if you don't do it, you turn the ball back over.
So, yeah, the other team
some random team, isn't it?
Yeah, the high school coach. This high school coach, he goes for everything. He doesn't have a punter or a kicker. He just goes for it. Like apparently, like he goes for 4th and 22, and so basically, if you get tackled behind the line of scrimmage, which is where the ball will start, which is where it'll be 10 yards. If you get tackled behind that, you lose them yards. So if your quarterback gets tackled, if somebody gets to your quarterback and he's still got the ball, and he goes down and he's lost 10 yards, you're now at 2nd and 20.
So essentially, when the quarterback gets the ball, where the position that he gets the ball from, like where he picks the ball up from his snapper, wherever he's tackled behind that line, you lose them yards then.
Yeah, basically, where the ball is, where the O-lineman, so the middle guy in the O-line, the centre, he's the one that hikes the ball back to the quarterback. Whether the quarterback is stood up right behind him or stood back further, where the tip of that ball is the line of scrimmage. So basically, the two of the offensive line and the defensive line will collide on that line, and then that's your line of scrimmage. And there you've got to get past that line to get yards and get positive yards. If you get tackled behind that line, you lose the yards, and then it becomes in 2nd and longer situations and stuff like that. But it's,
what would you describe the role of the quarterback as?
He's got to manage the game.
And what?
He's got to turnovers. If you throw the ball to the opposition a lot, or if you if you fumble the ball, if somebody hits you and you lose the ball a lot, it happens in games, and you can throw the ball into situations where somebody can make a play and intercept a pass and stuff like that. But the quarterback has to game manage. He runs the offense. He's at the line. When he's at the line of scrimmage, you'll hear him talking. And what they're doing is they're picking up the defensive patterns. They're picking up who's going to come, who's putting the pressure on them, which is known as blitzing. So if you see where the linebackers are, which is behind the defensive line, if you see a guy squeezing up, he's probably showing blitz or may blitz, and they're going to call out his number and say, a lot of it's like 57's the mic, which means that he's most likely going to come through and blitz. So what they're doing is they're audibling to their line of what adjustments they need to make it easier for them to basically block it long enough so they can get a positive play out of it. Yeah, it's about game management. It's about not turning the ball over. Turnovers kill teams. If you lead the league in turnovers, you aren't going to be a playoff team. It's just not going to happen. Because you're helping yourself to lose.
I feel like you're having a slight dig at my team.
I was going to talk about famous Jameis, because famous Jameis, he led the league in interceptions last year with 30 interceptions, which means he's thrown the ball 30 times to the opposition.
Yeah, I know. We'll come on to him shortly. I'll move over to Nick, to you, mate.
Go for it.
How many players are essentially made up of in the team? How many people make up a team?
Is it 55, Beaver?
53.
53. So it's split into defense, special teams, offensively. So you've got the main three aspects of the game. You take it for granted, don't you? Because we kind of know it, and it's quite hard to break it down,
it is, isn't it?
But yeah, your goal as an offense is to get the ball into the end zone, which is at the one end of the pitch. As a defense, it's your job to stop that from happening. That gets broken down into each 10 yards of plays, essentially, and you've got 4 attempts technically to get that ball over that 10-yard line. I'd only be repeating exactly what Beaver said with everything. Yeah, the quarterback, he is the one that's on the offense who is responsible for that ball, really.
Yeah.
It's down to him he makes the final choices. He's the one that's got to manage the game, yeah. And then when you flip it to defense, it's their job to try and basically fox and outwit what they're going to do. And I think that's another reason why, personally, I really like the sport. It's just because it's so tactical.
Yeah.
You can't, as probably, as best as we can to try and describe this game, it'll take hours and days.
Absolutely.
I think do it.
For me, thinking about it, I think you talking about how strategic it is. It's so much like chess, but with a football and 50 odd players playing, because you're essentially your next move relies on what you're picking up from the opposition, whether you're on offense or defense. So I think that's why people might struggle to get on board with it, because a lot of people used to say that it's quite not sporadic, but it's very stop-start, isn't it? Which I can understand where people are coming from when you don't actually understand what's going on with the game. But yeah, in the nook and cranny of it is that you have 4 attempts to get 10 yards, and you're doing that to essentially get into the end zone, as Nick and Beeves have said. Liam, is there anything that you would want to add in that would help with people that don't know about the sport?
Not so much, really. I think the other two have covered it well. But I think if I was to kind of put into my own words briefly, I think kind of to summarise it, I guess, I think each team has a maximum of 11 players in the field at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately the objective of the offense is to effective to score points. And as Nick and Beaves have both said, the objective of the defence is to stop them. And again, I echo what Nick has said in that it's a very strategic game. It is who can outwit one the other. And I think Beaves, you mentioned it, or Carl, you mentioned it about reading different plays. So as a quarterback, it's your job to manage the game. So you're reading the defense and you're changing the play that was given to you by your coach. If you think something different and you're changing it because you think that's going to work better against that defensive play that they're running, and then they're doing the exact same thing and saying, oh no, they're changing their play, so let's audible our own defensive strategy to try and compete. It's so strategic, and it's, I think we've all agreed that's one of the things that we all really enjoy about the game. But
especially now we're learning more as well, because everything you've just said there is literally happening in the matter of seconds, isn't it? Like,
they've got the game clock. You get 40 seconds? So you have 40 seconds to snap that ball, and so anything can happen within these 40 seconds. A lot of teams have their plays in mind, and then all of a sudden they get into the line of scrimmage with 20, 15, 10 seconds remaining, and all of a sudden they're changing this play up, and boom, they've got to make this split-second decision, which is why, as Beav said, the quarterback is probably the most important individual person, because he's managing that particular play, that particular drive, all that kind of thing. So
I think to your delight, just in the as we finish this, in the editing, I'm going to include that mic'd up clip of Cam Newton, because I think that's actually a really good video to include
against the Packers.
No, but because he was mic'd up, it was brilliant. He was getting called out, and then he literally changed it up straight away.
It worked.
And he says, "I'll study film too."
Yeah, it was class, to be fair. And I think that, like, that for me, like, as a new fan, I'd be like, "Oh shit, like, that's pretty class to watch." Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Hate him or love him, that is the great example of what we've just spoke about. I agree.
Yeah. Into rugby, what people don't understand is that rugby, you very rarely get anyone going above the waist. Here, you've got 6'4" lads that are weighing 300 pounds trying to take everyone's fucking head off. Like, so that's why they wear pads.
I agree. Yeah.
And
I just wanted to throw that in there. And I love rugby, I do, but I just wanted to, people say, "Oh, it's not a man's sport because they wear pads." They need to. They fucking need to.
And Carl, I can say this with honesty, and you can say it as well. I've put them pads on, mate. They ain't much protection.
No, I got levered in training once. I got blindsided. Fucking blindsided.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Was that the Beaver? Was it?
No, mate, one of the lads trying to. I think we were doing a session, and I was just doing some running back workouts, and I juked him. I didn't even know I did it. It was just like, what's it? And then he's absolutely fucking levered me about an hour later with the pads on, and I didn't really know what had happened. It was a big lad.
Look, you got. I mean, there's hard hitting, and they're trying to beat you. That's their goal. Is that they want to put hands on you, and they're looking to beat you. Like, it's a man. It's 1 versus 1. It's a manly game. It's man versus man. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, win. And that's the truth of it. While it's based around how well the team can perform and how well you put together, when you get on that field, you've got to beat the bloke opposite you.
That's it, because like you say, the quarterback's managing the game in terms of giving everyone their plays and what they need to be doing. But if individually you're not on board with that, or you're not thinking ahead, if this doesn't work, I need to do this to try and get into that position on my route. Like, if you're not doing that, like you say, if you're not winning your individual battles, then the play isn't going to come off.
Which is why stuff like the draft is so important, because that's where you pick up players, and they've got to learn your game plan for the flock. So they'll get given a playbook. Defense, offense, they all have playbooks, and they have to learn these plays, and they have to learn where they need to be in situations and stuff like that. And I think that's where the draft comes in, because these lads, they have to study videotape, they have to study in class. And the beauty of it with them coming out of colleges, so they have to maintain a grade point average to be able to be eligible to play sport. And I'm pretty sure it's around a 3.2.
Yeah.
Or might be less than that, actually. He's less than that.
That equivalent's like a C.
Yeah, basically you've got to get a C plus, I think it is, or C grade, to be eligible to play the sport. So they're smart enough kids that their studies have to be so that because they have to study.
Even more
even
so
the
now,
grades.
like historically, it's always been that, but even more so now, I think you're hearing now a hell of a lot more of these players are actually becoming straight A students, so they're taking just as much work ethic into their academics as they are into the game, because they know that if their academics aren't up to scratch, they're not even going to have a chance, regardless of how good they are. So
I think it's a matter of building the person before the player, isn't it? I mean, that's crucial, isn't it? Really. Whereas you think about these footballers at the minute, like 16-year-olds demanding stupid amount of money.
Absolutely, man.
That's just, you don't get that in the NFL. The NFL, it's you've got to work academically. You play NFL. You're fortunate to play NFL.
Yeah.
That is what it is. You're fortunate to play NFL. American football. Sorry, you're fortunate to play American football. You've got to work your socks off, and then you might become an NFL player. And that's why
you earn your
the emotion of you earn it, don't you? You don't. It's not based on technical ability. You've got to be a person, and that's why the draft is such like an emotional time for they are kids. They're kids, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Keep forgetting how old I am. Well, these kids are like 21, aren't they?
Another thing about it is as well is that they're setting them up for life after it, because there is this thing that so the NFL has like the most like knee injuries, like ACLs. There's so many ACL injuries in the NFL. It's quite scary. And because they're always hitting spots and pivoting and breaking out and stuff like that. But basically, they call the NFL not for long. That's what the players know it as, is not for long.
Yeah.
Because they're educated, what they're trying to do is they're trying to set them up so that they're not just based on footballers. I mean, the amount of footballers that I've heard of stories where they've got gambling problems or they're going bankrupt, and because they're not set up for life after football.
Absolutely.
Because they're not sure what to do when football's finished. But because they make these people learn and get grades and graduate, basically, they can go.
Long-term vision, isn't it? It's long-term vision.
Yeah. Like you said, that ethos is drilled into them from day dot. And I don't want to dig him out because he's a Villa player. It's not. I'll just say, like, as recent events, I think Jack Grealish is a prime example where he's a very good, technically gifted football player, but he's not very well educated, because you can tell from I don't think I'm being disrespectful. I've got no issue with that, but because he hasn't had that ethos driven into him, it's all been based on his technical ability. He still goes out and makes really stupid decisions, where it's rare that you'll get people in the NFL doing that. Kids of his age, anyway. Kids of his age.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot more.
You do get it, don't you? It's quite bad as well at times.
There's a lot of these lads.
Jameis Winston groped an Uber driver, didn't he? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's rare that
I know
it
what
will
you're
happen. If you know what I mean. And I'm not digging Jack Grealish out. I'm just using him as an example because it was recent.
Yeah, I mean,
stay off my back, Villa fan.
I think they understand more though that they're representing a brand and a team, and they've come from a lot of these lads where they've come from rundown families and broken homes, and just basically trying to get out of a bad situation, and they've strived and worked hard, and some people, for them, their only mindset is I need to get myself to the NFL. Some of these college lads, and there are stories.
Wouldn't I that they've constantly got advisors around them still once they've got contracts and stuff. Would I be right in saying that?
Yes, they are surrounded with people that can help them, can guide them.
Because I do think in football, I don't know whether they have or they haven't, but if they have, they're not very good at their job these days because they just tend to get away with everything or make silly decisions.
It's probably more that the players think they're above it.
Yeah. And like you say, I think that because it's not driven into them from day dot, that there's no respect for any sort of hierarchy, is there really?
That's it. There's no way an American footballer can make money until they're 25 or 26.
Well, yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah, they don't automatically go into the big books, do they?
That's it. No. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how good you're playing in your rookie years. You're not getting more. You could be like Saquon Barkley's probably the most recent one, who in his first year was pretty
Unreal.
good.
Yeah.
He can't turn around to his owner now and say, well, I want £60 million over 5 years or whatever. It just, whereas a footballer can have a good year and he can just say, well, I want X amount or I'm going. And that's it.
Yeah, but
he knows he'll get picked up. And we keep coming back to it. It's just the ethos. It's the ethos. It's that long-term vision against the short-term vision.
And I think that's where the draft plays a massive part of it, is because it doesn't matter what situation you end up in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what team you end up playing for. What their goal is as players, individuals, is I'm gonna make a statement. I'm gonna show the world who I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the best I can be. And like each team has their own culture. Each team has their own mentality. And the Patriots want you to do your job. And that's as simple as it sounds. We're a bit robotic when it comes to our press conferences. We say the right things, we do the right things, and off the field we do the right things, we say the right things. And it is a bit of a program, I suppose, in terms of the way it's done. But we do that to protect people from themselves in a way.
Yeah,
but also the fact of also the fact of we want them to succeed so we can succeed.
Yeah.
So the best thing for us is that they do the smart things and do the right things. And it comes down to, as a unit, that you all come together and go, we can do this. And this is the way, what we can see for you. And I think that's why the draft plays such a part in it. And I think the draft is massively why the culture is so good.
I think just to elaborate on your point there, Beaves, one of the best things I've heard, I was listening to the radio the other week, and I can't remember who it was now. They basically what they said is, when you hear English footballers give their press conferences or managers, it's most of the time it is kind of I or me centric, whilst put an NFL player in their press conference, everything's automatically, it's all about the team.
Yeah, that's true.
I let the team down, or we as a team need to do better, or we as a team doing great. They are such a tight-knit unit. Certainly, I can't help but feel that a lot more in English football. There's so much more individualism in comparison. Yes, you do get your individuals in the NFL, of course you do, but the culture, again, we go back to what we said earlier about culture, is the culture in American football is unity, teamwork, togetherness, which, again, I go back to, it's one of the reasons why I really, really enjoy the sport. I love the culture and everything about it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. 100%. So, yeah, I think we'll finish that segment on, I know it was meant to be brief, but it wasn't, which is absolutely fine. But I think we're going to keep doing that every week. The more people are interested and keep asking, we'll answer your questions as best as we can. What we will do quickly, I know Bees didn't want to do this, so I won't go through all the teams. What we'll do is just make a quick comparison on what we think our teams compare to teams in the Premier League, just for people, and then we'll move on to the draft, if that's all right.
Yeah, mate, yeah. Just quickly, to back up your point there, if anyone does have any questions about the sport, don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us.
Yeah,
because obviously we're new to the podcast game. We're looking to guide people into the sport, and for us to be able to help you, we need to know what you want to know.
Exactly, because we don't want to be putting out mindless content. We want to put out what we want to put out. But if there's, like you said, and people that have got in touch already that want to get involved in the sport, please, ask us everything, because we want to talk about everything. We want you to enjoy. It's a very
overwhelming sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you break it down. So,
I mean, we waffle a lot. We'll waffle on a lot as well. So the best thing we can do is keep talking shit for you. It's all right. It's not a problem.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree. So whether it's adding a comment to the YouTube channel, and we'll answer it as all four of us, or if you want to send us messages privately, and then we'll bring each of us bring it up on the next or forthcoming podcasts. This is exactly why we've been doing this. So
definitely.
Next.
No, that's fine. So Beeves, we'll all do who we think the Patriots are compared compared to in the Premier League, but who do you think they're compared to in the Premier League? Who would you compare them to, Bees, in the Premier League?
Oh, they're going to be compared to Man
No,
United.
but who would you compare them to?
No. Oh, no. So they're going to be. You're going to compare them to Man United. They've got this great history where winning is a thing, winning's a mentality, winning is the way that it's done. But for the last 19 to 20 years, it's been about winning. We've won 6 Super Bowls. We've been to 9 Super Bowls in 19 years. This was under a quarterback and a coaching. I mean, we had Belichick and Brady driving us.
Who's Tom Brady signed for, mate?
Anyway, moving on. But I think that because of the history of winning, I think you'd have to compare it to Man United. I mean, I'm not a lover of comparing the two because
I get it. I get why not. But yeah. I think it's quite an easy comparison for them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, and it's difficult because what I find is if you can start comparing it to like football teams, sort of thing. Obviously, we've just lost Brady. We've still got Belichick, but obviously we've lost our best player. So now we're we're going into a slight rebuild. So which is what Man United are also doing.
So when are you getting David Moyes?
Josh McDaniels is waiting in the wing, mate.
And Fellaini. Where's Fellaini?
He's just on for the Bucks, mate. But no, honestly, I find it difficult to compare them to football teams because obviously in the NFL, no matter who you are, no matter how bad you are, their aim is to make you a better side.
And there's always a possibility of change, isn't there? You know, like you said, the 49ers were bad for 3-4 years, and now, they were competing last year. Yeah, the only way you get good as a good football team is if somebody takes over your club, which is what's about to happen to Newcastle. I mean, their fans are going to get a bit ahead of themselves, and they're 5-6 years away from being anything if it all works out for them. Which obviously, I've got friends who are Newcastle fans.
Do you know who?
They're both a pair of dingbat brothers, really. But
anyone on this call? Anyone on this call, Beaver?
Yeah, Carl and Chris. Yeah.
Well, I agree.
What with the dingbat brothers comment?
All of it. To be fair.
All of the above.
Yeah. Fans are getting carried away, but we're not stupid. Everyone's doing it for a bit of banter. But I do agree. You know, it's going to be about 4 or 5 years away. But fuck Newcastle talk anyway. But yeah,
what I was meaning was that without a takeover in English
right,
football, you can't grow. Whereas through the draft system, American football teams, no matter how bad your season is that year before, you could be a season away from being in the playoffs.
Yeah, you don't really have like a consistent 4 in the NFL, do you? Really? Like obviously, the Patriots have been there. Who else would you say? Maybe Seattle are always quite consistent in.
Yeah, again, but they missed the playoffs 2-3 years ago. Like, I mean, it's a difficult thing where like staying at the top is one of the hardest things to do.
And the Saints as well, isn't it? Probably the Saints, so probably.
Yeah, but like I mean, Aaron Rodgers missed it. Drew Brees 3 years ago finished 4 years ago. Sorry, finished bottom of his division.
True.
And they're one of the most famous teams in the game.
We still didn't.
He's one of the best. I mean. You've got if your 2 wide receivers last year had arguably the best duo on the field.
Oh, I know, mate.
The playoffs, I know. And you didn't make the playoffs.
They're incredible.
It's so weird. I mean, the Rams didn't make the playoffs last year. The year before, they was in the Super Bowl.
Right, we'll do that in a minute. Just let Nick. Who would you compare the Patriots to?
Do you know what? After the text this morning, I didn't realise I was going to do this, so I haven't really had a thought. I don't really know. Like, I guess probably someone like, and purely based on like success throughout the league, probably like an Arsenal. Is after that sounds like we obviously went through that phase for a couple of years, or like a Chelsea or something like that, where we won the Super Bowl, we got there the next year, then it sort of depleted a bit, and then it's really been a bit of a it's been a bit of a rebuilding process ever since, really. And
pushes the defender, keeps fighting, he's still moving, he's going to go down to the 20, the 15, they're chasing him 10, he dives in, are you kidding me?
Watch Sherman the way that he does this. You do not want to throw to his side when he is playing that run-out position. Do not mess with that guy when he's in that technique.
So Russell Wilson, most wins in the first 3 seasons of any quarterback in the history of the National Football League. He's got a man! The ball is caught! Game over, baby! Touchdown! The game is over!
We're not a million miles away.
No.
But we're not there yet.
No.
And I could pretty much safely say we're not going to be there next year. But I can also say we're going to be pretty close. And that is, and I guess that's your Arsenal finishing fourth, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That is literally that. I feel like, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know loads of some die-hard Seahawks fans in Seattle that have probably got a completely different opinion to me, and they'd look at me and be like, "Who's this joke?" But I get the impression like a lot of them are like, we are underachieving as a team.
Yeah,
I don't know, Nick. I have to sit next. I had to sit next to you and Joe, mate. Sorry to interrupt you, but I had to sit next to you and Joe when you played the Raiders. Honestly,
fucking good.
Honestly,
just chucking it up to Tyler Lockett. Whoa, my son.
Honestly, you'd have thought that they were diehard Seahawks fans because of like the way everything was going on. Them Seahawks fans were loud as well.
Yeah, mate. There's that is like that is the Seahawks way, isn't it? So yeah. I feel like probably Arsenal is the closest comparison I can get. But I feel like the one thing I will say is we'll win a Super Bowl again before they win the Premier League.
I agree.
Yeah.
Liam, Panthers.
I think it's quite difficult, personally, for us. I think, anyway. I mean, there's an argument to be made that we could be compared to somebody like Leicester in terms of they went the whole way once.
They won though, mate.
With the first pick of the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select quarterback Peyton Manning.
All week, we're gonna put them in their place.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Play physical. Let's kick the out of these guys.
It's taken everybody we got. Dead zone for a touchdown.
Finish, man, finish. Hit it, composure, execution. We'll win the game. We are facing an outstanding team. In all 3 phases, we have a tremendous challenge in front of us. When you step on this field and on our dirt, talking about playing against us, we fly around, we hit them in the mouth.
Huh?
On
the flip side,
I'm joking, brother.
I'm just going to breeze over that comment. Because, yeah, you're ruining my flow now, yeah.
Just in case people don't know, though, So Liam and Carl's team, they're playing the same division. They're playing the same. So like there's 8 divisions across the American football. There's an NFL, there's the NFC and AFC, and they're split into 4 in the NFC and 4 in the. And Carl and Liam's team playing the same team, so they don't like each other. It's a bit catty.
Bit catty. It's a bit catty.
So that you could argue is one comparison, and then if I'm on it, I did do a little bit of research on this because I was trying to think, and it was difficult to kind of pinpoint one team in the Premier League that is linked closely to Carolina. But so one of the things I read was comparing it to Watford in terms of they've got an outspoken leader in Troy Deeney. We had an outspoken leader in Cam Newton. I think that was where the comparisons ended for me, so I didn't really look into much of that.
I must admit, I find yours quite difficult. I'm not sure where I'd put
it is.
Do you know where I'd go?
Burnley.
See, I wouldn't. I'd go somebody like Everton. I'd go somewhere like Everton. Because what you got to think is, remember a few years ago when Everton were challenging for 4th spot? And now they're just back in the middle of the table and everyone's forgotten where they were. Like, they played in the Champions League, man. And that's the equivalent. I mean, you made the Super Bowl and then you look like going back since.
So any Everton fans out there, Carolina.
Yeah, they're desperate.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next one.
What about you, Carl? For Tampa?
Which of the range do you like the best?
The next one. The next one's the best.
I am told Tampa is the choice, and he will sign tomorrow.
Don't discount the puck.
I think it's time to put them in their place. I'ma have to set them straight. You don't know me. You don't know where I'm from or what I had to do to get this play. Hey,
I'm throwing everything quick tonight. We switch it.
Brady throws, pass, caught. Oh, he's got him. Touchdown.
Way to go, baby. Way to see that. Big play.
How do you think Buccaneer fans are feeling right now after that news from Tom Brady?
Hell yeah.
Feeling like the best since the second that I came here.
Back to Brady it goes. Brady going for Edelman. He's got it. Touchdown.
Now look at me. I say now look at me.
I think, to be honest, especially lately, I think I'd put them close to either someone like Newcastle or Fulham, both because I think they've got actually decent talent on paper, but ultimately they're just a bit shit, to be honest. Just a bit shit. So
honest, but so accurate.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say. Like, I think loads of talent on paper, but just piss poor management from top to bottom. So shit, I'd say Fulham or Newcastle.
Sounds like West Ham.
No longer anymore.
Well, West Ham's a good shout, actually. West Ham's a good shout.
West Ham's I look at West Ham whenever I see the football league. You see West Ham spending loads of money.
Yeah,
and all you think to yourself,
Felipe Anderson, Hallow, decent players, but actually they're a bit fucking shit.
Yeah, they've got Jack Wilshere in their team, and all you think is, yeah, but they've still got Mark Noble in the middle of the park. They're still going to be shit.
Yeah, I'm with that. To be fair, if Mark Noble's Jameis Winston.
No, he's past. Because he's past completion rate. He's far better than
Mark Noble could pass a ball.
Yeah, to his teammates.
True. But yeah, obviously I think this has gone on for quite a while, to be fair, which I'm happy with. So I think after that's all out of the way. Let's just talk about the draft. Who wants to go? Like, it's been an eventful one. We didn't get as many random picks that we wanted, especially not in the first round. I think we wanted some people to throw some spanners in the works, but there wasn't really.
I mean, let's be honest. We was all praying that Washington were going to fucking shit the bed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sorry, Ed. Sorry, Eddie.
Definitely. Anyone got a highlight of the first round?
Yeah, the Packers picking Jordan Love.
For comical reasons, yeah, 100% agree with that.
I think Andrew Thomas, and I'm a UGA fan. Him going fourth was a bit of a surprise. I think there were better tackles on offensive tackles.
Tristan Wirfs was the best
agree.
tackle.
But I don't take anything away from Andrew Thomas. He is an absolute baller.
I agree, and like these guys asked me last week, who do you expect to take? And I was expecting Thomas to fall to us at 14 personally. So the fact that we got Tristan, I was like, damn. Yeah, that was a surprise, to be fair.
I was watching Joel Klatt and Jay Glazer, and they were both talking about. I was watching them like their reactions to the draft. Sort of thing. They were bamboozled. They didn't understand a thing of how Tristan Wirfs was still knocking around at 14. When you took him at 14, Joel Klatt just went, "That is going to be the steal of the draft."
Well, it's like you said, Liam said as well. Like, why have the Bucks traded at one spot? Because they couldn't believe he was there. That they literally just traded that because they didn't want the risk of that pick above them taking him. So
yeah. You're always one pick away from somebody taking your team, taking your player, aren't you? And that's the truth.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, opinion, no, it's all right. I still think that the best value pick of the first round, my opinion, has to go to the Ravens personally. What is it, Patrick Queen?
Yeah.
So the type of player he is and the way that Baltimore play their game, I think that's such a good, solid pick. And, I mean, who was it picking before them again now?
It was us.
Well, it's Seattle.
Was it Seattle?
They could have easily picked him up, and for him to fall to Baltimore, literally the pick or two after, I think is a great selection. That's my most valuable pick, I would say.
I think that
wait, what was yours, Bees? What would you say yours? Would you agree or?
For me, the reason the Jordan Love one I find difficult is because, like, they've got Aaron Rodgers. They're acting like Aaron Rodgers is over the hill. They're acting like Aaron Rodgers is done. And in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is still one of the greatest arm talents in the league. And they've gone and picked a quarterback in the first round instead of giving him a weapon.
Overrated.
And the truth of it is, like, they've picked a player to be a backup. So they've wasted their first round pick on a backup. They'd have been better off just trading that pick. Now I heard that they did that. They picked Love because they were worried that the Colts were going to pick up Love. That's why they took him where they did. That they thought that the Colts were going to take him. But the first round should be about addressing. You either pick the best player available or you draft for your needs. I think in the first round. Like,
that's not how
Cincinnati.
We do it with the Seahawks.
No, mate. It's not. Mate, I know how I do it in the Seahawks.
Like that. We don't do it like that.
Mate, they don't do that in the Patriots either. We traded out the first round.
I've said, Jim, I don't understand the Patriots draft ethos ever.
Mate,
it's like we're just going to take a load of players and whoever comes good comes good. Like, sweet.
Mate, it ain't even that, mate. It ain't even that. Like, I mean, at the first person we picked was in the second round. The guy that we picked, right, played for a Div 2 school, which is like, you just don't do that. You don't pick up a Div 2 player in there. Like, it's like taking somebody from non-league and putting them in a Prem.
It's interesting.
Like, you don't do it.
It does make me think, what have they seen?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what Belichick's seen, mate. He's seen big, athletic, and versatile.
Yeah.
And willing to push himself. Like, that's the one thing I'll say about Belichick. Like, while we've lost Brady, we've lost Gronk, and everyone's going on what the Patriots going to do, what the Patriots going to do. I said it the other day. I said it on the first podcast. They're sold on Stidham. They like him. They want to see what he's made of. But our draft strategy is do your job. And what we want to see is people that come in with the right mentality where they're going to get their heads down. They're not looking to make money. They're looking to play football and win. Biggest thing for us is about playing football and winning and doing your job. And we're not a team that's going to draft you on because you're the best player. Like, we're going to draft you on your mentality. We look at I suppose we look outside the box, really, when it comes to our players. We don't look at, I mean, Brady, we picked him up in the 6th round, pick 199. He walked into the first day in the building, he walked up to our owner and he shook our owner's hand and said, "I'm Tom Brady. I'm the best decision this franchise has ever made."
Baller.
Like, and he weren't wrong.
Don't it make you feel sick?
Not Carl. Carl can't say a bad word about
Do you
him
know
now.
what, though? You're right there. And the Seahawks are exactly the same. I feel like we don't really look at the standard metric of how good they are as a player. It's like the mentality, isn't it? And that is genuinely... I don't think I've ever seen... and again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've been following the draft for the last 30 years, 20 years. From what I've been seeing, Pete and John Nelly never pick like the best player in that position. And the Patrick Queen was a typical example. On the face of it, Patrick Queen seems like an absolute must. If we're going to go linebacker, which is arguable, but why pick this lad that's probably potentially around 3 prospect, maybe around 2 at best, late round 2? There must be something there. There's a mentality side of it. There is something other than that what you see at the combine, like you do, that most teams seem to address. I don't know what we speak about.
Jordan Brooks, didn't you?
Yeah.
He's also a linebacker, same as Patrick.
That's it, yeah. And I mean, I don't feel like we did need a linebacker as a first round pick. I do think we needed one, but I don't think we needed one as a first round pick. So to see someone like that get picked first, it's like, well, there must have been something in his mentality, his state. But saying that,
the Seahawks
never pick good in the first round.
I think
he's probably fucking shit. He'll never play for us, and he'll be released before the season starts.
But I think one of the things about the Seahawks is, and Carl, if you can put the clip in, it'd be brilliant, is what sums up the Seahawks is last year when you picked up DK Metcalf and he walked in with his shirt off and he was tensed up.
Pete ripped his top
Pete
off.
Carroll rips his top off and starts, this is a 63-year-old bloke with his shirt off, tensing again next to an absolute specimen.
Remind me in the chat, I'll put it in.
Yeah.
I think
do you know what? And I think DK Metcalf was probably the one pick out of all of the norm of how Seahawks do in the draft. Like he probably was the best wide receiver when we picked him.
Yeah,
and he turned out to be an absolute gun as well.
Yeah, but he was meant to go in the first round, mate.
He ended up
getting picked. Was it the second you picked him up or third?
Second round, I think it was. Well, it might be the third, actually. I don't think of the top here. But he was the best available at the time. We very rarely pick the best available. It's like, I think Rashad Penny's probably the latest out of the first round that we've actually even remotely used.
A lot of teams push, like, especially at the top end of the draft. A lot of teams pick on their desperation. Like the Bengals this year were desperate. They're desperate for a quarterback, and they picked Joe Burrows. Now, I know me and Nick feel that Joe Burrows is going to be a flop. We feel like I know he won the College Bowl, but he's had 1 year of College Bowl where.
Yeah, it's not so much he's going to be a flop. It's just he's got a lot of hype around him that is, I think unwarranted is probably the wrong word, but...
And his best player doesn't want to be
inflated. It's been inflated. His hype's been inflated.
He won the college championship, which makes him seem like he's the best quarterback available.
Yeah.
I personally think that Miami got the best quarterback. Whether he can stay healthy is another question.
We all agree with that one. We all agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And behind that quarterback, I would say Justin Herbert was was one of the best picks.
As well.
I think Herbert was, and even Tua. I think Herbert's been consistent for the years that he's played for Oregon.
Yeah, because that Oregon team have been trash.
Exactly. Yeah, they've just got a really sick kit. They've got a sick jersey.
Their gear is unreal.
It's sick, isn't it? It's just immense.
It's
Nike, isn't it? It's all Nike.
Yeah, but that's the it's on the Nike. The geezer who's got like a majority share in Nike.
Yeah,
he's like it's where he came from, Oregon, isn't it? So the Nike factory is next door, so they have a new kit every week. If you want to have a look at some American football college gear, have a look at the Oregon gear. It is insane. Oh man.
Some of the limited edition ones have had like the full yellow kits and stuff. Oh man, they're fucking
mate, no, it's the all white. It's the all white jersey, the all white kit they put on. Oh my god!
But we digress. But
we digress.
I think Herbert's been like the most consistent out of all of them in terms of performance. Because I mean, even Tua only played after Hurts bombed in the championship game against UGA.
Yeah, and then he came in and wrecked house.
Then Tua got the gig, and fair enough, he was absolutely sick. But it's the same. It's a similar argument to Burrows. Is when you've got that O line and you've got those wide receivers, you don't have to be the best quarterback in the college to perform at the highest level there. So
that's why I'm excited.
It's an interesting pick at Miami, anyway. Definitely.
That's why I'm excited to see Justin Herbert. That is because obviously he's gone to the Chargers, man, and with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, they have got some, and that Eckler coming out of the backfield, they have got some such talent on that team. That is a talented roster that moved on from an old quarterback who could still win games, but they were like, we want new blood in. And to take a quarterback is always a risk because there's been many a first-round flop. I mean, of the 6 quarterbacks taken before Tom Brady, none of them lasted more than 5 years in the league, I don't think.
No.
I think the Chargers are in a good position because they've got Tyrod Taylor who will help them in the interim period to, kind of manage the ship, so to speak. And they'll have Herbert sat behind him. But at the same time, I do think he's ready to start should he need to as well. So I think they're in a good position with their quarterback situation for the Chargers.
See, what worries me is that people think Tyrod Taylor's good.
I was just going to say, I forgot he even played. Is he still playing?
He's great, but
he can run.
He'll manage things in the interim period at least.
Yeah. Quick one. Favourite pick of the first round?
What, personally, who I think was the best pick? Tristan Wirfs. Picking him up at 14 was an absolute scandal. He should not have been there. To get a player of his quality in that position, and it was a must-need as well with the way you tried to build your team. It was a great pick.
Worst?
Jordan Love, don't understand it.
Nick, your favourite pick of the first round?
I'm stuck between either Isaiah Simmons or Mekhi Becton. How do we spell his first name? I'm going to go with Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. I love linebackers. I loved Roquan Smith coming out last year. I thought he's immense.
Do you know what it is, mate? I agree. I would have said Isaiah Simmons had the Panthers took him because they needed him. I really think they should have took him personally.
Just that Cardinals, they're building something again. We go back to that long-term vision. A couple of years, they're going to be there, which is what I hate.
Mate, they're going to be around this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Kyler's going to be running everywhere. Yeah. Kyler's going to be running everywhere.
Look who he's thrown it to.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've got D-Hop and Larry Fitz. Yeah. And they've got the other kid. They've got Christian. They've got that Christian Kirk as well.
Kirk, mate, he's coming out. He's a baller. He is, to be fair.
Like that offense. I'm worried about the O line, but that offense is close, that defense is decent. Terrell Suggs and Chandler Jones on the back.
Worst pick for you, Nick?
Can I be really out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Burrows.
Fair enough.
Go on, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. Liam, best pick.
Just to go back.
Yeah.
I think I base that on.
To be fair, I was going to say you probably should explain that because people might give you stick.
Well, he's the first pick. All right, hang on. If you look at the Bengals in 2 years' time, he won't be doing anything, and it wouldn't surprise me if they had the first pick in 3 years' time and picked another quarterback.
Fair enough.
Wouldn't surprise me if they pick Trevor Lawrence next year.
Exactly that.
Has Andy Dalton signed for the Pats yet?
No, he hasn't.
Go on, Liam.
Best. I'm kind of torn, really. Either between 2 or 3. But I mentioned it earlier before we went live that I do really like the CD Lamb pick to the Cowboys.
Cowgirls.
Simply because of the receivers they have already, they have established names. So I think it'll allow him to really do what he can do. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing someone's groin.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened there.
I've dropped my Drop my camera.
I know everybody else can say that.
Might as well edit that bit out, Carl. Might as well edit that bit out, Carl.
Leave it in, Carl. Carl, leave it. Leave it in, Carl.
Too much editing to take that out, chap. It's staying in.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Groans everywhere.
I'm also torn as well with the other one I'd probably think of is, I mentioned it earlier, but Patrick Queen, because of the value, because of where he fell to and where we've gone to, the system he's going to go into. That's why I would probably put those two in the same bracket.
Fair enough.
Did he end up at Baltimore?
Yeah.
See, they've picked some quality linebackers in the first round. They picked up Ray Lewis way back when, and then they picked up CJ Mosley. And I was really surprised they let CJ Mosley go. But to bring in a player like Patrick Queen, I feel like it'll take time. But with Earl Thomas in behind him, you've got Marcus Peters at the corner. He's gonna settle in quite nicely.
He fits their system, doesn't he? So that's that's one of the reasons why I love that pick, because
Harbaugh's a good coach as well.
So nicely straight away.
What about you, Carl?
I like Miami getting to.
What about Liam's worst pick?
Oh, sorry, yeah, Liam.
I thought you was doing your worst. Sorry, Liam, crack on.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Say Burrows.
Better be a good one now.
Join me.
Worst pick, I keep going back to it, but it's probably Henry Ruggs to Oakland. I think they've literally picked him just for his speed. That is it. And if it's not to be him, then not to be jumping on the bandwagon. But I probably would agree with Nick on Joe Burrows, but definitely.
Get in.
I even flashed my groin to get you on my side.
I'd say again Henry Ruggs to Oakland. I don't understand why they went him when there was someone like CeeDee Lamb was still on, was on the board. So that's where I'd go with my worst pick. So Carl, over to you.
Yeah, sorry, best. I like the fact that Miami went with Tua, but again, being biased as well, I just think we got such good value.
Oh, you can't pick Tampa Bay, Carl.
Mate, if it was Andrew Thomas, I wouldn't have. But like the fact that we got him is just unbelievable. So I would say I'm going to be biased. I think for me, value-wise, we got the best pick personally. Or maybe I think Minnesota did well to getting Justin Jefferson and addressing cornerback with Jeff Gladney as well. I thought there were two great picks in the first round. Worst is 100% for me, Henry Ruggs. 100%. Like, I'm not even, there's no debate. Like, I genuinely just think he's going to be a bust. His route running's whack. He doesn't block. He's lazy as fuck, but he's fast. That's about it. And I agree with Liam. I think they should have took CeeDee Lamb personally. Yeah, that's me on my picks, I think.
I'm definitely going to regret mine, aren't I?
I'm probably going to regret mine, mate. He's probably going to ball out for the next 10 years.
There's going to be some absolute know-it-all on YouTube that constantly saying, he's an idiot, get him off.
Don't ever watch this podcast again. None of them know what they're talking about.
Get rid of him.
However, they'll be back the week after to watch us again to see if we're
exactly.
And we won't. So.
They might say that about you three. I reckon they'll agree with me because I'm still trying to figure out why the Packers picked Jordan Love first round. Do not understand it. There wasn't anyone else picking him in the first round.
No. No.
They wasted their first round pick on a backup.
It's.
I'm gonna give the Redskins a bit of love because they actually picked up the best player in the draft. The best player in the whole draft.
Yeah,
Chase Young.
Obviously, like if it was
and he's a Washington
one,
boy.
I would say Chase Young, but I was being biased in saying the Bucs pick.
We know what you're doing, Carl.
But also, to be fair, I think a really bad pick was the Falcons pick, that AJ Terrell. Like, mate, second, third round, highest, he should go. And he's going first round. Man, fuck the Falcons.
The Falcons are a weird organisation.
I thought it was a bad pick, personally.
I actually liked the Kansas City pick as well. I shouldn't do. Fuck Mahomes. My home boy. But that's a good pick, that is, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's a good pick, that is. Really good pick.
Mate, we said it before we went live, and He's got good hands. He's got good running. I think he'll complement what Kansas City are doing already. I think if they run it with committee alongside the others, or if they run him exclusively, I still think he'll succeed regardless.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Another pick that surprised me, though, was the second round. I mean, well, I say it did surprise me, actually, because I don't think he's that good. And it was Philadelphia picking Jalen Hurts to move off the first round. This is now. Philadelphia picking Jalen Hurts, like, who runs the ball 20 times a game. But the way that the New Orleans Saints utilise Taysom Hill, I actually think that there is now a market for backup quarterbacks, a bit like Jalen Hurts. Yeah. And I think Mariota's going to have the same. I think Mariota, I can't remember when Mariota's gone.
He's gone to, fucking hell. Who's he sitting behind?
Mom.
What, did you just say my mum? You did, didn't you?
That's his mum.
He's on the Raiders. He's at the Raiders, isn't he? He's at the Raiders.
Beyond Derek Carr?
Yeah, mate, they're going to come up with a package to utilise his running.
Mm.
And I think that because of the way that Sean Payton has built that New Orleans offense, and the way that Taysom Hill works in that offense, you'll see more of that nowadays. People that are good runners in college, good running quarterbacks and can move about, are going to get jobs to play trick plays and run different parts of offense. And it opens up a new branch of an offense that does. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he can run the ball. The kid could run at Bama, but he got beat out because he wasn't as good with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you can't throw as a quarterback, then you're going to get caught out. And I think with his speed and his build, I think they'll find a way to fit him into their system, a bit like Taysom Hill. And I think that'll be how it'll go.
I think that leads us on to kind of the next segment. Jameis Winston to the Saints. God. I think those reactions say it all. Is that it?
No, like I said earlier, I get it, and I actually quite like it. I like it.
He's going to be their
a bit of a
official
gun-ho team, and he can be like he can be a bit gun-ho. And I think it suits the bill of what the Saints need. Backup.
He is going to be their backup quarterback because obviously they've lost Bridgewater. He's gone to Carolina. So they need a backup quarterback. I'm not convinced that they believe that Taysom Hill is actually good enough to play quarterback.
Just as like on that, do you not... It might be just my infatuation with Jameis Winston, but do you not think he's an upgrade on Teddy Bridgewater as a backup quarterback?
No.
Fuck you, Beaver.
Well, I'm going to say no because Teddy Bridgewater is now my quarterback and I back him to the end of the year.
Jameis Winston turns the ball over too much.
I know, man, but he's like Nick, like he's just fucking mate. His arm's incredible. It is incredible.
Yeah,
he's got a good arm, baby. You can't deny it.
No, I'm not denying he's got a good arm. That arm's sensational.
His actual IQ, his actual game intelligence is unreal until he gets on the pitch. Until he gets hold on, let me finish.
Back it up, Carl.
Let me finish. Until he steps onto the pitch.
I also think he's got a good arm.
Until he steps onto the pitch, I was going to say. And then it just all goes out the window.
Carl, you tried to pass this point in the first episode.
Mate, just let me love the man. He was my QB, right?
I'm letting you love him, but when you see Brady play, you're like Jameis who?
Yeah, I know, but we need.
How trash was Jameis? Is what you're gonna say. But what I'm saying, but what I think is like I agree. He's got good arm talent and stuff like that. But you can't turn the ball over 30 times.
No, you can't.
And we are just talking about throwing it to the other team. Look, we're just talking about that. Your defense.
He's going to be playing with Breeze. Like Breeze is going to be teaching him stuff that he is not going to get that quality of teaching. I was
literally about to say
the Buccaneers.
No offense.
It's true though. It is true.
No offense to the Bucs organisation, but he's going to a well-run organisation.
Like what game was it last year where Jameis Winston threw an interception first game?
Which game are you on about?
Which one?
Which game are you on about? There's about 4 games. That was.
There was two. There was legit 2 or 3 where he did that.
Carolina in London. First pass of the game, he threw it to the linebacker, and there was no chance. There was no chance. He was looking at a receiver. He's had eye surgery. He's had eye surgery this off-season as well. I'm just putting that out there.
I'm pretty sure that got called back as a foul, and then he did it again.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Got back on when he got back on, he did it the next time we actually got the ball.
So I mean, Drew Brees is going to have him in with that video on and just be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" Like,
I secretly think.
You don't need to
I
do
secretly think they've got Jameis in to look at him and have him play against their defense, and their defense is going to be buzzing for the ball because Jameis can throw it to them everywhere.
So you're suggesting that the Saints have got Jameis Winston just purely for the training ground to up the morale of the defense?
Well, they've just paid
that's essentially what you're saying. What you're saying is the defense took a bit of a hit against the Rams a couple of years ago. Let's get Jameis Winston in to just throw it to them.
Do you know what? It's funny, but it actually makes sense.
The more you say it, generally the more it does actually sound pretty realistic to me.
Yeah, because you watch Jameis Winston and you think to yourself, my defense would look so good against him. Mate, if we'd have played the Bucs last year, oh my God. God, our defense led the league in interceptions.
I know what they'll do. They'll bring in Jameis the week leading up to the inevitable playoff game against the Vikings next year to give their own defense some confidence, so they'll actually might maybe beat the Vikings again.
Do you know what's going to be embarrassing as well? Is that he probably gets a game against us and he beats us.
That would be hilarious.
I can promise you now, TB12, and that ain't happen.
Mate, TB12 ain't playing on the day.
No, but he will. Nah, I mean, if TB12 is playing in your defense, he ain't running nowhere.
No, it's just as well we ain't got Vernon Hargraves because they'd have been looking at him thinking, yeah, I'm just going to be putting it over his head every time because he ain't fucking moving.
Jameis Winston, like, famous Jameis.
For all the wrong reasons.
Go, what's his NFL record? What is it like? What's the record he broke last year?
Interceptions.
What was he the first player to do? What was he the first
30 interceptions and throw for 30 touchdowns.
See,
in the same season,
incredible.
5,800 yards.
That's incredible.
That's what I mean, though. Like, he can throw it for yards.
Like, this is what I said to them, Nick. It's so hard to be positive about him because everyone just bangs on about the interceptions, but every other one of his stats was in the top three.
Yeah, I do. I don't dislike him, or I don't have the same opinion of him as the Bevois does.
He's been spoiled for the last 10 years, though, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. I hate him. But you can see that if he is under the right management and if he's just clawed back a bit, take 500, 600 yards off what you're throwing and over that year and cut the shit out, make that 10 interceptions and take it less than 600 yards less, you're saying that's not a bad season, to be fair. Only because he's
probably a playoff team.
Fucking shit.
Yeah.
You're probably a playoff team.
Yeah.
If he throws 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, you're probably a playoff team.
But how, genuinely, on stats, if you look at it, had he have thrown 10 interceptions, like, he would have been the best quarterback of the year.
You'd have been a playoff team.
So
this is why he doesn't. This is why he's not a starting quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's got so much talent.
Well, that's it, isn't it? The talent's there. He's just a bit fucking tapped, isn't he? Really.
It's when he got his eye surgery after the season and stuff.
I don't believe that, right? That's got to be. That must have been a publicity stunt to try and get a job. No, it must have been a ploy to try and keep his job. He must have known that he was out in the cold. He was like, "I'm going to go and get my eyes done." The doctors said, "I've been blind for the last 5 years. Give me one more chance."
I just thought
the light bulb goes off.
Sean Payton's probably designed a trick play right now where Jameis throws it to the other team so Drew Brees can come back in and win the game. Like, that's probably what he's done, mate. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Madness.
Like, or they'll run a trick play. And to be fair, the thing with Jameis is, like, when his first year, he used to run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
in his
He was
first year.
he's for a kind of.
That was probably his best year as well.
He's quite a burly lad, like, and he's got massive quads. He's actually quite a good runner. He's not ridiculously quick, but he's strong in his run, and like that's just gone completely from his game.
He stopped running the ball. Just completely stopped running the ball.
I've got his stats in front of me here. His first season in, he threw for 4,042 yards and ran for 190. His second season, he ran for 239 yards.
Yeah.
And threw for 4,090 yards. And he improved on his touchdown.
Interception.
28. And then he improved on his interceptions about 15 to then 18.
He's like the kid. He's like the kid at school that was really good at football, at scoring goals, but he's just shit in general. You've got to play him, ain't you? Like, he gets goals, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You've got to play him.
Yeah.
So that was me.
You ain't scoring.
What are the odds on Breeze getting injured again, like he did last year?
I think that might happen, mate.
And then him coming in and doing a Teddy Bridgewater winning a starting job for the season after.
Not a chance that I win. Not a chance. He turns the ball over too much.
Bear in mind,
look at the yards. I wonder. I'm just speaking hypothetically. I'm just wondering whether Michael Thomas looks at that and thinks, "I'd rather Bridgewater or Jameis." I genuinely rather Jameis.
100%, mate. I agree.
Because he knows he's going to throw yards.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think
Beaver's just looking at us like you, like fucking off your nut.
No, but genuinely,
I don't know what you got on, man.
No, mate, he's gonna get the ball more than he's ever got it, like, from Bridgewater anyway. 100%. Like he's Michael Thomas. He'll put it wherever he wants it.
No, but you are realising
he might put it in the cornerback's hands a few times.
You realise you're talking about can't guard Mike, who broke the record for the most receptions last year.
Yeah, James is going to give him more.
Not a chance. He had Mike Evans. I've seen what Mike Evans can do. I've seen times where Jameis has thrown it past Mike Evans and somehow Mike Evans has run away with the ball.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you look at the Saints' offense as a whole. Like it's no offense, Carl.
Their O-line's better than ours.
There's more to think about with the Saints offensively than there is the Bucs.
Definitely their O-line's better. Their O-line.
Not anymore, Nick.
No. Well, we'll see.
But yeah, we had. To be fair, our O-line was shit as well. Like, our O-line got away with a lot of stick last year. Like all those interceptions weren't on him. Like a lot of them were on the O-line. They got away with it massively. So that's what worries me about Brady. But
you can't. No, this is the difference for me. Is that you can't put the interceptions on the O-line. Okay, they should protect him.
No, I'm not saying all of them. But
what I'm saying is for the ball to be intercepted, Jameis' hand is coming forward. And there aren't many times where someone's clipped the ball and it's been like it don't happen like that. He just throws the ball in. I said it on the first podcast. Jameis he's a forcer. He forces things. It's like he wants to be the big play every play. Yeah, it has to be the home run hit, and he can't just drop it down and it take 5 yards. Like if you notice, a lot of his completions are 30, 40 yards. Like you've got a great arm, right? But if you start throwing it short, the defense has to play you more honest. So the defense has to push a little bit more. They have to play tighter to your receivers. And if you've got receivers like Godwin and Mark Evans who can beat you off the line, you're going to score.
Yeah, but mate, we know he can't throw it short. We saw that against Carolina.
No, I just seen the linebacker. That's what I was seeing. I don't know who he was seeing, but I was seeing the linebacker.
Fucking hell. I was going to ask something. I've completely forgot what it was.
What Jameis was even a starting quarterback for 4 years?
No, well, they've only signed him to a 1-year deal, haven't they? So I thought they'd give him a 2-year deal.
They've just paid Taysom Hill, though, haven't they?
Yeah, but if you sign him for a 1-year deal, you're not really looking to play him. I think now you're thinking about what you've actually said about getting him in to get the morale back up for the defense. It's probably a good shout. I don't see any other reason. 12 months.
It'll be interesting to see his contract, whether he's got any guarantees in there.
Do you know what? Do you know what I actually think?
They'll probably cut him. I wouldn't be surprised if they would cut him at some point.
Yeah, they could do.
Do you know what I actually think they brought him in for? Trade purposes.
Mm.
Because what you got to think is if they
when Brady flops, they can flog him back.
Right, there is.
Nick.
There's always a possibility, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Nick, that's blasphemy.
No, but
Nick,
there
that's
is. Though.
blasphemy.
What you got to understand is, Beeves, he's still coming to Tampa. Like, regardless of whether Jameis is there or not, something will go wrong.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is you've now got Gronk.
Yeah,
who will play 3 games.
Nick.
Don't do that, Nick. That's bad.
Nick.
Realistically, Carl, how many, and I'll take it as a percentage, how many of the games this year do you think he's going to play?
Less than 50%, which is why I was worried that with the talk about them trading OJ. The fact that they're keeping OJ makes me think even more that he'll play less games.
They're aware of the situation.
Yeah. Personally.
I think you lot are forgetting that Gronk's just taken a year off.
Look, I'm not saying...
He is in the best physical form of his life. He's only 30 years old.
He needs to put weight on. He's a crack addict.
Mate, I'm telling you now, Gronk will be ready to go.
Because if he's not, he can get the fuck out of Tampa.
Bro, believe me, you won't be saying that after one game.
Here's a different question then. How many touchdowns do you think he's going to get?
Gronk?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be utilised more as a blocker, personally.
I think he'll be between 7 and 10 touchdowns on the year.
I'd have said 5, between 5 and 8.
I'm going to go with 3.
Nick.
Less than 5.
I think you're forgetting who this guy is.
No, I'm not, mate.
No, I can appreciate that he's probably one of the best tight ends. So in the time that I've enjoyed NFL, he's obviously the best tight end. There's no question about it. But
I look at it
riddled with injuries.
Yeah.
When's the last time he actually finished the season healthy?
Or did a full season?
When we beat
and that's another question, isn't it?
When we beat the Seahawks.
At the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I genuinely think...
4 years ago.
Yeah. He's the season we lost to the Broncos as well, when they beat Carolina, he played the full year. Gronk was unbelievable in that game. I mean, like, this guy's talent is off the charts, and what you got to think is, and this is the reason I think it's such a big move for Tampa Bay, is his relationship with Brady's already there, and you can't leave Gronk one-on-one.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There's every possibility with the situation as it is, like in the utter romance of it, that he's going to go off and have his best season ever. But realistically, I don't think it's going to happen.
His best season ever. He had 17 touchdowns, mate. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, but you don't know that it's not going to happen this season.
But what I will say is, though, like, all of a sudden, if you're on that field and you've got Godwin, Evans, and Gronk on that field, all of a sudden, somebody's being left one-on-one.
All I want to say,
cannot leave Gronk one-on-one.
I want every GM and every coach, every defensive coach in the NFL who's playing us this season, genuinely, I want to know what they're thinking when they're looking at it, saying, who are we guarding? Who are we leaving open? Who's the weak?
I'm telling you now, they're leaving Godwin.
Mate, if they leave Godwin, it's game over.
Yeah, mate, but
Godwin's a good fantasy pick this year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, mate,
he was class last year, so I said to him, when I picked him, I had to take Mike Evans and Godwin because one of them was always going to go off. Like, I never knew who it was because one was going to get double teamed.
Mark Evans is a freak of nature. Freak. Gronk, now you've put Gronk on that field with him, right? One of them's going to be one-on-one on the outside at some point. And I'll tell you this now, whoever it is, they've won.
Yeah.
Gronk, I've watched Gronk go against Cam Chancellor and people like that who were dominant defenders. They were like, yeah. Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor were like, Gronk, oh, well, we've got you. And he just monstered them. He used to do it to the Broncos. TJ Ward used to talk shit about Gronk every time we played the Broncos. He was like, oh, he's not even that hard to guard. And then Gronk could have 2 touchdowns against them, and they were like, and he had 140 yards, I think, in the one game, and everyone was just like, oh. They were like, where's TJ Ward at now?
You know who's got one of the best records against Gronk? Luke Kuechly.
And that bitch ain't here no more.
I know.
Retired.
That's even better news.
I know.
And he was pretty good as well.
He was very, very good, wasn't he? He's a very good man.
Yeah, apart from when he cried on the pitch.
I think you've got a bit of a habit of players crying in your team, Liam.
They're passionate.
Didn't they chalk the Keatley one down to the fact he was concussed?
Say again.
Didn't Keatley get chalked down that he only cried because he was concussed? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I heard that.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
Basically, yeah. He was kind
That's
of
true, though, isn't it?
He had that many concussions, and it was kind of, I think it was the most recent one. And he was like, I think it was realization for him. It was like, yeah, I'm done now.
It's almost over.
One more, and he could be a vegetable for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, it's not for long.
I mean, I think Gronk will have like a good game, then he'll come up against some fucking defense that don't give a fuck, fly through him, and he'll be out for 10 games.
I mean,
and that's that. It's not even like that's completely unrealistic.
No, I think that's the most realistic possibility.
Yeah, that's probably, when you look at actual probability, that's the most likely outcome that we're going to get here.
Definitely.
I think as well. Like, we got to think with Gronkies as well. It's not just these. It's the fact him being on the field, like for a play sort of thing. He doesn't have to catch the ball. All of a sudden, somebody's got to guard him.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's difficult
for the running game as well. Like,
and mate, he's one of the best blockers you've ever. Like, I've watched him pancake many people. Like, it's embarrassing.
As long as he doesn't get pancaked.
Carl, just go back and watch the videos, Carl.
Mate, I know, but he might get folded.
Mate,
year off ain't necessarily a good thing.
And he has not been able to train properly this pre-season.
Mate, Gronk will be ready to go.
Well, I didn't see him in the park throwing balls or running routes.
Shepherded away by police.
The guy clearly wants to be a wrestler as well now.
Mate, he's already is a wrestler.
He's got other ideas. Mine's not there.
The
thing is, right, is that's his sound. He didn't want football because he would have played last year. He wanted to play with Brady. That's what it is. He didn't ask about playing football. Obviously, he would have played last year.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Do you know why he didn't?
To be fair, we did say
do you know why he didn't play?
He didn't play because he didn't want to go to Detroit, and he wanted to play with Brady. That's what it is.
Yeah. The Patriots were trading him, Nick.
But it is right. Like, he was only coming back if Brady went elsewhere, so he could play with him because he weren't going back to the Pats.
Yeah.
If Brady doesn't go to the Buccaneers, Gronk does not get on that flight down to bloody Florida.
No. Gronk doesn't play again. The thing is, what the problem was that we wanted to trade Gronk because we wanted to get as much for him as we could, which is obviously in a business sense, it's a smart thing. So Belichick wanted to trade Gronk. Gronk didn't want to go and play for another quarterback. So Brady leaving the Patriots, meaning that Gronk couldn't come back to the Patriots because Belichick would have tried to trade him, and that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to go and play for Detroit. So if you make the decision that you're going to trade him instantly, I mean, Gronk probably just thinks to himself, "Look, I'm not playing for them. I want to play for Brady. I want to play with Brady, but he wouldn't have been able to play for us last year."
Is that not his absolute pure arrogance, though? He's not in it for the football, is he?
I don't know. I think Gronk's I think he's a freak. I think he's the unbelievable talent, and I think that he's had a lot of injuries. He gets hit hard a lot. People just
saying. If Brady gets injured first game, he's out for 3 games. Does that mean we're not going to see a tune out of Gronk?
No, you'll see a tune out of Gronk. You'll see a tune out of Gronk
from
100%. Who's your backup?
Will he play?
This is what I mean. So Gronk turns up to training and Brady's in a bloody arm brace. Does he just go, fuck it, I'm going home?
This, to be fair,
it's like he's like a law to himself with it all. Actually, the fact that he's just said, I'm not moving to another team to play without anybody but Brady. I'm sitting on the fence with him.
I'm actually, because I was thinking about it yesterday, I was expecting us to draft a QB late on, to be honest. Because we've got no one.
I actually don't think there was many, outside of Herbert, Tua, that Eason and Love have got talent.
Mate, we should have took Jake Fromm. Imagine Jake
But
from
yeah.
behind Brady for a year. Fuck me, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, he'd have looked lovely as a Patriot as well, but for some reason Buffalo picked him. They must not be that sold on Josh Allen.
Man,
They've got a good
I'm good with
quarterback
that pick. I am good with that pick massively.
I'm not actually.
Surprised he went low. I'm surprised he went that low.
That low, yeah.
I'm not surprised he went low, right? I am actually not surprised he went low because, like, it's as we said about Tua and Burrows and stuff like that. Is that O line at Georgia was a joke?
Yeah, it was good.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
And what they're looking at is the fact that he was protected for so long.
Do you know what? A very, very underrated O-line as well.
Yeah, 100%. But I also look at it and I think to myself is, how many times, Nick, have you seen Jake Fromm win you a game? What Jake Fromm is, he's a perfect man manager. He ain't going to lose you a game. That's what he ain't going to do. And I think Jake Fromm, like, he's never that. He's just never quite been.
And the thing with that SEC is, like, they're so run heavy teams, aren't they?
Well, they dominated the draft, didn't they? The SEC. It was frightening.
Like, and again, and this is when it comes back to, like, the Tua and not necessarily Burrows in a way is, do you need to be a really, really, really good quarterback to win at that college? At those colleges?
In the NFL,
I just don't think you do. I'm just not convinced that you do. I think you can go there and you can be an average quarterback and you'd get them to at least a bowl game.
I think that's what concerns me, though, with Jake Fromm.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, there is that. And I do think there's quite a few UGA fans out there that were a bit torn on him because he was nothing special. He didn't do anything flash. He just managed the game and he just did everything sensible.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Twitter that I saw yesterday. People are like, yeah, and all that. But you're going to get that, aren't you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think the biggest thing was they let Justin Fields go, though, didn't they?
I know, yeah, and he was the best quarterback coming out of high school as well at the time when we got him.
And
we always let guns go.
And he's exceptional. Justin Fields is.
Oh, he's unreal. He's unreal.
Is Liam still here, by the way? You're right, brother.
Yeah.
Thought I'd lost you.
No.
You still waiting to go in for that operation? I joke. But yeah,
yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up there if everyone's happy to.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, mate.
As we said, anyone that wants to hear about anything specifically, please just drop us a message or drop a comment on the video. Yeah, we need to come up with we've got some ideas for names, but if anyone's got any ideas that they want to throw it our way, please do. Yeah, welcome, Nick, our new member.
Yeah, welcome, Nick. Yeah,
you sound really happy about that, Beeves.
Yeah, no, I'm just good.
He just thinks that I'm here to just gang up on the Pats fan. 2-to-1 ratio is not good enough. We need 3-to-1.
Your first text message in a group was that we're going to have a segment just to pick on me.
Not to pick on you.
I forgot.
The Pats. I think it was a dedicated hotline to laugh at the Pats.
Yeah, we're going to get that sorted. We're going to get that sorted.
We have got that one there.
I actually kind of feel like Scott's going to phone me.
Mate,
if that happens.
We're going to definitely call Scott in at some point. Like, we'll just ring him in.
Can we talk to him when he's at a game so I can get some feedback on why he thinks Atlanta are any good?
The thing is, I don't think he actually does think Atlanta are any good anymore.
Yeah, mate, I wonder if he's going to draft all Atlanta players this year.
I guarantee he picks all. I guarantee Todd Gurley's his first pick.
To be fair, I'd pick Todd Gurley. Not first pick, but I'd pick him. I think he's going to have a good year this year.
I'd pick him.
Just because he's got a point to prove.
I hope Nick takes Joe Burrows.
That would be fucking hilarious. That's what he's doing. He's just doing this for
he is. Yeah, fantasy purposes.
Reverse psychology, mate. Fantasy purposes. Everyone stay away from Joe Burrows.
NFL. What have I said? It's long term. This is the only reason I'm here.
We do it pretty much. We do it pretty much every week. I say we did it last week. We'll do it this week. Nick, who's going to win the Super Bowl? I know it's early, but it'll change every week, I imagine, as the season gets closer.
49ers.
Ooh.
And I hate saying that. Hate it. Don't know what it is about him.
Bosa.
Beast.
Hunter. Beast. That's what he is. He's a hunter.
Beaver.
I think. Who do I think's better? I actually think the Saints are gonna be the team
to win it.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna win their division.
I think that I actually think like that they've got themselves a genuine number 2 receiver as well now.
I thought he was going to say quarterback as well. I nearly fell off my chair.
Famous Jameis.
I nearly fell off my chair.
No, I'm genuine here.
I was like, this
fully
is
genuine here.
Please say it.
No, genuine here. Emmanuel Sanders opposite Michael Thomas with Alvin Kamara as well.
Yeah.
No,
I forgot about the Sanders as well. Yeah,
big things, mate.
Are the Saints just always the nearly team?
I don't know. I think that's Green Bay, but they were a game away from the Super Bowl, and they picked up a backup quarterback in the first round. I'm just letting that sink in. That still tickles me.
Yeah.
But
Liam,
no, I think good gentleman.
You know.
Say it. Say it. Say it.
Originally, I was
say Panthers.
I ain't gonna be this.
Say Patriots.
I ain't gonna be you either. Originally,
Pick me.
Originally, I would have said the 49ers, but I think based on what Baltimore have done and are doing, I think they're going from strength to strength, and I think
Lamar can't win in the playoffs.
Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl. I am going to laugh at Beaver.
Can't win in the playoffs.
And laugh and laugh.
Can't win in the playoffs.
I think that'll change. I've just got a feeling. As it stands, I'm saying Baltimore.
Change. They were the number 1 seed playing at home, and they got whopped.
I'm sticking with it.
I'm with you, Liam. I don't mind that shout at all.
Come on. See, ganging up on me.
Huh?
Carl, who are you?
Go on then, Carl.
I told you all last week.
Oh, God. You sticking with it?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, baby. We're bringing that Lombardi trophy home.
And then, but when you don't, who do you think will?
I think my homeboy will take it again.
What about?
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do.
Nah, bitch boy Mahomes gets beat, mate.
Me and Liam were talking about it before. Like, I don't think we really spoke about it with yourselves, but me and Liam were talking about him regressing last year and regressing the year before, and he didn't. So I'm not sure he's gonna. I just think he's gonna keep pushing on. I think he's class. To be fair, I think he's gonna do it again.
That's a good shout. I like that pick. I like that pick. I like all the picks apart from the Saints. So that's only because the missus supports them.
Mate, the Saints ain't gonna win the NFC South this year, let alone the fucking Super Bowl. It ain't even gonna be close.
I'm telling you now, mate. Emmanuel Sanders on that offense makes a massive difference.
I have to say I'm joking now because the last time I give it the big one on video on the NFL network at the Panthers Bucks game, we got beat. So obviously now we're gonna finish bottom of the division.
Yeah, famous Jameis threw the ball well in that game.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, because it's not very nice, leave Jameis alone. I'm going. We will speak to you all next week.
Pleasure, boys.
Pleasure. Yeah. Always.
Can we please get a name this week, please?
Cool.
Yeah, so if anyone's got any ideas.
We've got loads of ideas, haven't we? But yeah, if anyone else has got any ideas to throw in the mixer, that would be fantastic.
Right. See you later, boys.
Sound. Speak to you all soon.
Cheers, boys.
Love you, bye.
Thanks so much.
Love you, bye.
Bye.